What's up, guys? So we are back on Money Mondays, going live here. We're going to talk about passive and active income and what the difference is between those and what you should prioritize. So, little background on who am I? I'm an engineer working at a Fortune 500 company, and I'm 23 years old right now as we speak. And I'll teach you the ways, and I have over $40,000 invested in the stock market. So been investing really consistently. Currently, right now, I'll be transparent. I'm building up my cash savings account so that I not worried about bills and emergencies. And I recently paid off all my credit card debt, so no more of that. Yes, I do have some credit card statements, but that's not due until next month. So been prioritizing and focusing on that debt, and then I'm completely done with that. So now we're saving, and then from that savings account, we'll invest it. So, want to talk about one thing or two things with you guys when it comes to investing into yourself is actually getting active income. So, there's a storyline of, where I've been at. I've been working since I was 17 years old, halfway through 17 years old, my first year of college. I worked at KFC at 13 bucks an hour. Now, what's the reason for me working at 13 bucks an hour? Like fundamentally, right? It's because I had one, no skill set, no experience in the workforce, and it was my first paycheck. I will tell you guys that when I got my first paycheck, I felt really rich. Okay, making 13 bucks an hour. I was satisfied. I was living with my parents. I didn't have any expenses. And later on, I worked at Winco, which is like a retail supermarket type of place, pushing carts, 14 bucks an hour. So I got a raise there. The reason I got a raise is because with 14 bucks an hour, I had experience in previous, working at fast food, fast pace. I had real experience. And then from there, I was able to actually DoorDash too. So I went from making 14 bucks an hour to now 20 bucks an hour, right? DoorDashing. I got my license. So that's a skill set in itself. You get your license, you are able to DoorDash now. So I was making 20 bucks an hour. This is in 2020 when everything was popping, 2021 when everything's popping. There was bonuses even. There was like an extra $500, I believe. Um on one event when you deliver like 20 orders or something like that. So you get an additional 500 bucks. So that was the incentives that were up and door. I'm not sure what the incentives are now, but it was popping back in 2021 all the way through 2022, making 20 bucks an hour. Now, from there, after working those jobs, I was actually applying to engineering internships. Now, how did I get, from a fast food place to an engineering internship? Well, I actually was in engineering school and it taught me a lot of stuff and fundamentals of engineering principles, what to look out for, and things like that. Yes, during my second year of college, this was during, I would say 2022, 2021 to 2022. So I was 19 or 20 years old. Um, I was actually 18 through 19 years old when I got my first engineering internship. This was 22 bucks an hour. So get this, right? 17 years old. I think I was 18 or 19. I was like 18, but like almost 19 years old. So from, a year, right? I had three different jobs. I had KFC, worked like a couple months there. Winco worked a couple months there. DoorDash worked a couple months there. I applied like I believe 100. I believe it was 100 job applications before I actually started to get an offer at an engineering company. Now this was troubleshooting AMT, I think that was called EMT. EMT, like this was like radio frequency stuff, where I was literally a technician. So that was the role that I had was literally just, testing different types of prototypes, Apple prototypes and all that, the watches, the iPhones and all that. That's a bird, but hopefully you guys don't hear that. So I went from making 13 bucks an hour to 22 bucks an hour. Now, after a year of doing that, I actually quit because of it was a far commute. I had to commute an hour and a half, but I was willing to make that sacrifice. My parents didn't want me to commute an hour and a half each way, so it was like a 3 hour commute in total. But that sacrifice actually led me to my second internship, It was a summer internship. It was an industrial engineering internship. So this was the one internship that I was studying for. So it's my second internship, making 25 bucks an hour during the summer, 40 hours a week. So previous jobs, I was working um, like part time. This was full time, 40 hours a week, 8 to 5 type of beat. Now, 25 bucks an hour is really good. I was living in Irvine. Um, However, I did live below my means. I had like four roommates. I was paying like $1,500 a month back in. This was in 2023 now. Right now it's 2026, so this was 3 years ago. 2023, making 25 bucks an hour, pretty good. I paid my rent and had some left over for, food, investments, and savings and all that. So I was able to make a little bit of cash there. Also worked a little bit of overtime too, so that was extra money. That was like 35 bucks, 36 bucks an hour overtime. So that was pretty good for me at 20 years old. Um, Fast forward to, my last year of engineering school. So during that second internship, this was my third year going into my fourth year. So after my fourth year, I was on the verge of graduating 2 weeks before. I applied to like 120 engineering roles before I got my full time offer at the company that I work for now. Um, Now, in the timeline, I'm 21 years old, almost graduating, went from making 25 bucks an hour to um, $85,000 a year, including bonus. So this was 38 bucks per hour now, 40 hours a week, full time industrial engineer. Also forgot to I had an internship in between that time. It's Cork Supply. It was like a cork company, wine company. But this was like an unpaid internship because this was like a school project type of thing. You work 3 months there and then you present how you could improve upon that and what the kind of metrics and the results were when improving upon that. So that's the thing in terms of what we're specifically looking for on that internship. But fast forward to now, got a full time role, 38 bucks an hour, which is pretty damn good for me at 21 years old. And then from there, I was able to actually build the skills, learn from mentors in that space. And the engineer that I was working with actually didn't leave, worked in the same company, but transitioned over to a different position. And I had the opportunity to lead some of the projects that I had. And this allowed me to actually, a year later after leading, I guess this was like the first, I guess 4 or 5 months of leading the project that I had because I was the only engineer in that kind of project that I was working with. And it allowed me to get a promotion. So I went from having 38 bucks an hour to now making over 50 bucks an hour, including bonuses. So that's a pretty big raise there. And I was 22 years old. Now I'm 23, still working at the same company, still working in the same position, same salary. But get this, I was making 13 bucks an hour at 18, 17 years old, right? To now at 23 making over 50 bucks an hour. Now this is not including, the sponsorships that I'm making, other sources of income from stocks and dividends. This is strictly just my engineering job. I'm making over 50 bucks an hour, right? So that's pretty good there. So I just want to tell you guys that throughout all those things and milestones, the one major thing that stands out is the skill set. You need to have skill sets in order to get more and more income. So I went from working at KFC to now getting multiple skill sets and compounding and learning not just from school but from the internships as well, which is why I recommend college students to get in these internships as quickly as possible. My first internship was the second year of college. If you're past your third, the fourth year of college, you're fucked, right? You're not going to have any experience to present yourself to the market. When I was interviewing for that job that I got a job offer for, 100 people applied for the same role. I looked in LinkedIn, over 100 people applied to the same role. But, you know, how did I get hired? I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the smartest guy. I just know the fundamentals. I know, like, hey, you need a certain skill set. Let's work on that. And I did for the past 4 years of engineering school that allowed me to separate myself from over 100 applicants in that fucking job posting. That was just in LinkedIn. Imagine, they posted on Glassdoor and other sources too, but I was the one that got the job. I'm not the smartest guy. I just know fundamentals and I just execute on those fundamentals. Now, I have to remind myself too, like when I'm tracking, like I have to track the content that I'm making. I have to reiterate. That's the thing that I'm still trying to work on my fundamentals, but executing that at the time allowed me to get better opportunities in the future. Now, when when you're trying to make or when you're trying to wait for opportunity, that's not going to suffice. You have to create these opportunities by focusing on the fundamentals, building your skill set. That's the main thing. It's like a video game. You have to build your skill set to get to the next level, right? And fucking Elder Scrolls Online, you need to level up and gain skill sets so that you could get better skills so that you could progress through the dungeons. You can't do that by not putting investing your skill points. That's why I always preach invest in yourself, man, before the market. So that's what I have to say about active income, right? You need to have active income first. Focus on active, 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 active. If I was 18 right now, I would be working fucking two jobs, right? And if you're in that same position, work fucking two jobs. Even if you're studying, work two jobs. I'm working two jobs. I'm creating content. I'm working my engineering job. I'm doing this right after my fucking engineering job. I'm editing videos right after my engineering job. I'm scripting my videos right after my engineering job. That's something that you guys have to be willing to do. You have to work on the fundamentals. You have to work on your craft. You can't just bullshit all the time. You can't just jerk off all the time after work. Yes, you have to learn. You have to learn in work too. Like I'll tell you this. Like I made mistakes at work that that my manager pointed out, and I'm fucking. I reiterated from that. I'm not making any of those mistakes anymore. The definition of learning is getting feedback and taking action on that feedback so you never have to do it again. That's the definition of learning. Let's say you get disciplined, right? Hey, don't do this. You don't do it. That's learning. That's learning for you. So the more you learn, the more you have the skill set, the more you can present that skill set to the current market. And I'm committed to doing those things right now, and I'm doing those things right now. I'm creating content. I'm working on tracking the content so I can reiterate and get better. Like for example, my first few videos, right? My first video or my first two videos, I guess got like 8,000 views. But before that, it was like 300, 400 views. And even after that, I was getting like 1K views, 500 views, 600 views, right? I had like 250 followers, 300 followers, 400 followers, 500 followers. That was like for the first 3 months, 4 months. I was, you know, had 500 followers, but I was reiterating the content, listening to my coach, and now I have over 3,000 followers across all platforms. 25, 2,200 on Instagram, almost 2,300 on Instagram, 800 on TikTok. Before I had 50 followers on TikTok, and 150 on Facebook, and 50 subscribers on YouTube, which I'm really working on. So the purpose of this is just for you to understand that you need to do the leading indicators. You need to, work two jobs, work three jobs, get that active income, get that skill set first. And then now let's talk about investing. So now that we have the active income, take that percentage and invest it toward yourself, whether it be mentorship, courses, school, events, right? I'm going to FinCon, so you guys will see me there. Get invest into those skills, right? Like look at me, I'm where I'm at right now. Like I did 3 internships, right? I worked two jobs, and I also worked a videography job too in between school. And now I have, I'm not saying I'm there, I'm not successful, but I have this great job, with great management, great people. I'm traveling for free. I'm literally eating for free. I have the fucking card. You guys want to see the book? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to show you my card, but company card that I could spend $85 a day on food, which is pretty nice because I could eat steak and lobster fucking every night. I have a nice hotel, fucking 200 bucks a night. Bro, like it's 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 all because of those skills that I've managed to attain during college. I was dumb in college. Like I had a 2.83. And the reason for that, well, I'm not saying it's the only reason, but the reason for that is that I just been working on skill sets. And even if the gap between, me getting an internship and, me just being a student, like even before that gap, right? Because I had a 6 month gap of me getting an offer and then I had to wait 6 months because it was a summer internship in my second internship. I was building projects, like personal, not school projects, personal projects. I didn't give a fuck about school. I had a 2.83 GPA, and I was able to take those skills and apply it to my engineering internship and eventually talk about my engineering internship at my full-time employer. Eventually got an offer. Boom. I'm not the smartest guy, bro. Like literally, I'm not the smartest guy. I just work. I just sometimes I work on the fundamentals, and I have to keep like telling myself that like, hey, work, 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 skill, 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 skill. So once you get that down, let's talk about investing. So in terms of investing, right? Like you have to like in terms of active income, you have to invest that so you can make more active income. And also you could put that other percentage to the side and put it towards investments so you could, retire and make passive income for yourself. For example, you could, let's say you make $100,000 a year, easy example. You live below your means. Let's say 20% of that goes to investments. So that's what 33 20%. Yeah, like $20,000. See, I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not good with quick math, right? Or maybe it's just the nighttime, but dude, $20,000 you invest in per year. Over a long, like when you turn like 50, 60, that's like 50, $60 million. Crazy, right? In the S&P 500. So you take those money and imagine if you get more income. $40,000 per year. Let's say you make $200,000. Let's say you make $400,000. You take more of that, boom, 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 boom. Instead of retiring at 50, you retire at 30. Instead of retiring at 60, you retire at 40. Spend more time with your kids. So it's always important to focus on the active income force first. That's why I always preach, right? The first 15 minutes of me talking, it was just active income, my roadmap on how I was able to attain a good full time engineering job. And then you can focus on investments. Investments is the key. And investments doesn't necessarily have to be the market, it could be in yourself too. So you can make, instead of $100,000, 150. Instead of investing $20,000, maybe invest $30,000 a year. No, obviously those are easy numbers and taxes are included, but just putting it out there. So the next few minutes I'm going to talk about is investments, where to put your money. So there's different types of accounts, different types of ways in how you can make passive income. Um, First, I would always focus on, and I recently read the book Infinity Money or Infinity Wealth or whatever that is by Toby Maguire or whatever he's called. And I found out this new strategy. You need cash now. You don't want cash later. You always need cash now. Let's say, because let's take two examples, right? You have two people. Person A has $1 million in net worth. Person B has $1 million in net worth. Both have the same net worths. Person B, most of his assets, quote unquote, are in his house, equity. However, person B, let's just say I said person A, most of his assets are in equity, $800,000 house, $200,000 in a car. Easy example, right? Now let's take that same person A, person B, I mean, same $1 million net worth, 30% in dividend stocks, 30% in real estate, 30% in ETFs. So let's do the math here. He has $300,000 in his house. That's building equity. Cool. $300,000 in dividend stocks, $300,000 in ETFs. Who do you think is getting more passive income? The guy that has a $800,000 house that he can't even sell for the next 3 months, and it's not even worth $100,000 when he sells it because people are underwriting, and his equity is going down too. Or a person B, has rental property $300,000 worth of that's producing cash flow, dividend stocks that are producing cash flow, ETFs that are making good returns that he could take out. Who do you think has more money then? Person B, even though one has $1 million, both have the same net worth. All because his money are being put in 3 different places that are producing him cash flow. The rental property, he's not paying for his mortgage, tenants are paying for him. Dividend stocks that are paying him quarterly, you could divide it up into monthly. And ETFs that are getting consistent returns that are safe and, even when there's a volatile market, he can still pull his money out. But the other guy, $200,000 car, $800,000 house. Let's say he wants to sell those. That's not cash flow. Market goes down, his equity goes down. Maybe it's $600,000 now. Oh wait, he sells $400,000 now. And it's not producing him cash flow every month. And cash now is going to be more worth it than cash in 20 years. So it's very, very important to take a look at it from that perspective. A house that you live in is a liability. A car is a liability. It's not paying you. However, dividend stocks, rental properties, ETFs and index funds, even cash on hand is going to be more worth it, producing you more cash flow, and will make you feel more rich because you're having that cash flow that you could then reinvest that, or you could pay for your expenses. And you're never going to have to work again. But person A is going to have to work even more. But in order to get those $1 million, those 2 people have to have active income. So you have to get to that point still. It all stems from trading in time for money. Everyone trades their time for money. Whether it's a billionaire making $1 million per day, or it's a McDonald's guy working 15, 16 bucks an hour. Everyone trades their time for money. So what's the difference between a McDonald's guy and the billionaire? Skill set again. You can't invest your way out of being broke. If you make 13 bucks an hour and have only $1,000 saved, that's not gonna help you, bro. I'll be transparent, it's not gonna help you. So again, fundamental principles that I've been talking about too. So yeah, those are the topics. If you want, if you need a structure and you need a guide on where to put your money so you can make some passive income for yourself, comment wealth, comment the word system on my school group, or you could just text me on my school group and I'll send you a link to book a call. And then from there, we'll evaluate your finances, your investments, see how we could, improve upon that so you can make the maximum returns for yourself, make passive income for yourself, and build a future for yourself. This is for STEM professionals who are making 6 figures plus. If you're not that, let's focus on active income. And this is for people who are actually willing to invest and be committed right now. Okay? So you know where to find me. Comment system on Instagram. Or you could chat with me on my school group or just DM me system. Either way, I'll send you a link to book a one-on-one free consultation call. No incentive at all. Seriously, no incentive. So yeah, take care, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.